What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22 My Team Career Mode, and we are at the halfway point of our final season of F1 22 My Team Career Mode. It is of course going to be the French Grand Prix, and I am incredibly excited for this one because this is a track that historically I have done well at, whether it is through pace, whether it is through strategy. I have found my way to the front of the field on multiple occasions at this track, and riding the high of one of the most incredible races I have ever done. If you haven't watched my Austrian Grand Prix video from yesterday yet, then please do go and check that one out, because that was by far one of the most fun races I think I have ever done across any of the Formula 1 games ever. And it came in this game, which of course is one that we, at this point, I think it's safe to say, has not been the greatest Formula 1 game of all time. But some of the flaws in the game threw up what I can only describe as being one of the most interesting and chaotic Grand Prix I've ever taken part in. And if you don't want spoilers for that, mute now, because we did in fact win it. Yeah, it was a fantastic recovery. We went from 19th in qualifying, worked our way through to 9th in the sprint, and then worked our way up from 9th to 1st in the race. And I don't think, as far as career mode goes, we are going to have another race as good as that one for the rest of the season, if I had to guess. I just can't see a world in which we make that level of recovery. But speaking of recovery, we currently sit over 25 points behind Alex Albon, our teammate in the championship, and therefore we're going to need a bit of good luck on our side, as well as some strong results if we want to catch him in the championship. You know, halfway through the championship at this point. And whilst there are some good races coming up for me, there's also a number of races which I tend to struggle at, including Monza, which is going to be coming up thick and fast. Hungary as well as the one after this one, and those two in particular of the ones coming up are ones that I have never been a particularly big fan of. So there are definitely a lot of opportunities for us to drop points to Albon, so we have to make the most of all of these opportunities, and that starts right here in practice here in Paul Ricard. And you can see that immediately on the same compound of tyres I was already 3/10 off of Alex Albon. We both went out early in the session, so it's not even a case of you know, he went out later in the session, got the better of the track evolution, which is how Ricciardo and Leclerc on the medium tyres managed to get ahead of me. But no, we were just outpaced by him, pure and simple. He was faster on the day, you know, and there was nothing that we could do to compete with him. So we need to find a bit of form before qualifying, as is usually the case. And yeah, we will see if we can get to a position where we can qualify right up the order in qualifying. If we can go for pole here, that would be, you know, the minimum that I would want at this point, really. At a track like this, one that I have been known to do quite well at historically, it needs to be pole, really. It can't be anything else, otherwise we're going to be sitting back and thinking to ourselves, maybe we let another good result slip away from us. We need to be flawless. We've only had one pole position so far this season, and that was in Monaco. We went on to win that race. So yeah, maybe a good omen if we can grab pole here as well. And that starts right here in Q1, where we have to make it through in the top 16 people in Q1, otherwise we will be eliminated and won't take any further part in qualifying. We do a 1:29.2 to kick things off. It's fastest when I initially set it. When I go out for my second run on the same set of tyres, it is 7th. And this is now the end of the session, so we are likely to be making it through, I'd have to say, last car to cross the line. And yeah, we make it through in P7, so we will be taking part in Q2 at the very least. But the job is not done, because obviously there are two more qualifying sessions that we have to get through. The first of which is Q2, and if we are in the top 10 of people in Q2, then we'll make it through to Q3, and so on and so forth. Yeah, Albon faster than me once again in this session. No particularly big shocks, however, seeing Ocon and Stroll eliminated, given that they've been on a decent run of form lately, is perhaps a little bit of a surprise to see. I would have expected those guys to maybe do a little bit better, but yeah, we're not overly surprised with the eliminations in Q1, and yeah, we'll see if Q2 throws up any more particularly shocking results. And yeah, we're moving in. You can see that things are getting pretty dark out there, actually. It seems like the rain might be not long for this world. And yeah, we'll see what happens. But we cross the line. It's a 1:29.0. We actually go faster than Albon on this occasion. Move our way into P1 initially. And this will be the only lap that we do in this session, because then it started raining, so we only had time to do one dry run. The Ferrari of Carlos Sainz and the McLaren of Lando Norris were ahead of us, but we were P3 and P4. And a couple of big shocks here, I would say. Gasly and Leclerc and the Red Bull and the Ferrari being eliminated. Meanwhile, both AlphaTauris and the Williams of Oscar Piastri making it through to Q3. So yeah, they just got the car hooked up on the first time of asking, and that was all they needed to do in the end to see their way through into Q3, which is the session that we are now in. The rain has cleared up very quickly, and that meant that we were able to get back out on a set of soft compound tyres. We've only used 2 sets so far, so we've got 2 fresh sets specifically for this session. We crossed the line, and it's a 1:28.7, which is the fastest lap I have done all weekend, and honestly is potentially good enough for pole position in its own right. You know, obviously I'm going to go again, and we do go again, but we're not improving by that much. I think everyone else has crossed the line by this point, so this is going to be pole position regardless of what happens. But let's see, can we find any kind of improvement on this lap whatsoever as we come through this final sector? We're pretty much even with our time so far, but yeah, maybe there's a little bit of time left in the locker. You can see as I come through that corner, I made up about 2/10 on that occasion, so we're actually a little bit up on our fastest time so far. We'll see if there's any more time that we can make in these final few corners. We can come through that corner, we make up about a 1/10, and the final corner, that's another 1/10 that we've made up, so we're about 4/10 ahead of our time now. And yeah, we have strung together an insanely quick lap compared to the rest of the cars on the grid. We improved by 4/10 to 1:28.3, and it is pole position. So yeah, that is looking really good. This is exactly what happened in Monaco as well, actually. We blitzed pole position by about 4 or 5 tenths of a second, and that is exactly what has happened here once again. You can see there's been some good results for the AlphaTauris in P4 and P7 ahead of Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. And yeah, that's looking good for our rivalry with Max Verstappen as well. If he's starting 8th and we're starting 1st, I would say there's a very unlikely chance of him finishing the race ahead of us. And if I'm not mistaken, we'll be able to see for certain right now, but I think we'll be tied on points with Verstappen in the rivalry now. Yes, indeed we are. We're both on 21, so whoever outperforms the other in this race is going to walk away with the rivalry cred. And if I do that, then we will be bumping the difficulty up to 88, which is the highest difficulty I have played on since it was 88 in Season 1, and I bumped the difficulty down because I kept getting my arse handed to me by AI with extremely superior straight line speed. We started the series on 90. I think we lost about 6 rivalries in a row before we eventually won one. So yeah, this will be the first time since the first ever time we won 88 when we bumped it down that we'd be getting back to 88. I was kind of hoping maybe, just maybe, we might be able to finish off at 90 where we started, but we would have to win both rivalries for the remainder of the season if we wanted to achieve that, so it might be a little bit too tricky to do that. I think getting up to 88 will be the maximum we can go, but let's see if we can convert this pole position into a win when we get into the French Grand Prix.
Here we are again then at Le Castellet for another round of this year's Formula One World Championship. Renault took their first French Grand Prix win all the way back in the inaugural race in 1906, but it was another 73 years before they could take their second. I'm sure Alpine will be pushing hard to delight the local fans here today. The circuit Paul Ricard then, a 3.6-mile track, 25 miles east of Marseille. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, with the main overtaking chance expected to be going into turn 8. Top speeds today should be around 205 miles per hour. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Robinson lines up on pole position, just edging out Alex Albon, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Magnussen, Carlos Sainz and Russell, Drugovich, Verstappen, Ricciardo and Oscar Piastri, Joe, Gasly, Mick Schumacher and Schwartzman, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Enzo Fittipaldi and Théo Pourchaire, Ocon, Stroll, Lundgaard and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
Yes, let's keep exactly the kind of momentum going that we had in the previous race and convert this pole position into a win. Anything less than a win after our second pole position of the season would be just absolutely unacceptable, I think, to be honest with you. I don't really see how I can make a case for anything other than a win when we're on pole position, you know? I know we're battling with our teammate and he is extremely fast, especially in race trim, but still, I see absolutely no reason why I shouldn't just be able to convert this into a win. And we need it, you know? He's 28 points ahead in the championship, which means if we don't get this win, then you know, he is just going to start to build a lead that is completely unassailable. But anyway, let's see what we can do as the lights come on. And the lights go out, and we've had a good getaway compared to Alex Albon. We have immediately pulled ahead of him, but I am sure that he is going to fight his way back against us as we move into the second phase of the start. And indeed, you can see that by the time we got to turn 1, he was right alongside me. But nonetheless, his initially poor getaway was all we needed to make sure that we were going to be in that P1 position. Sainz has jumped Norris off the start, and those guys have been battling away a little bit, which has held each other up, which means that that off the start it has already become a bit of a two-horse race here, you'd have to say, between myself and Albon. And yeah, we will see which one of us is going to come out on top. He's only 3/10 down on me as we move into the big long straight, and I think he is gaining on me ever so slightly. Even when I'm burning the battery, he must have had a better exit or something like that. Switch off the battery and you can see he's pulled alongside me here. Is he going to be ahead by the time we get to this corner? Not quite, I don't think, but the AI is very, very notorious for getting better exits from this particular corner than me. So yeah, anything could happen here, and you can see he's closing me down quite a lot, defending to the inside. I don't think it's going to matter because I think he's going to be a full car length ahead by the time we get to the corner, and indeed that lead did not last very long, but I am not about to give up just because he has made his way into the lead initially, and we're going to see if we can Luffield him at this sweeping right hand corner, this right hand opening hairpin. And we do exactly that, and we have made our way back into the lead. So Albon took it for a matter of corners, and then I was eager to make sure that he did not have the last word here. He thought about sneaking out the inside of me at this this left-hander, but as we come into the final corner now, we will have the lead of the race, and so we fell out of the lead of the Grand Prix momentarily, but we did make our way back into the lead of the French Grand Prix on lap 1, and we will see if we can hold on to this for the next 26 laps, or whether Albon is going to put more pressure on me as we progress throughout the Grand Prix. We move now on to lap 3, and you can see that as we come to the end of Sector 1, I've actually got a warning for exceeding track limits there, so I've got to be careful. Only one more of those, and then the next one after that I will be getting a penalty, so yeah, we need to be on our guard about that. You can see that Albon and Norris both are very close behind me at this point in a bit of a DRS train. Sainz just outside range of this DRS train at the moment, but yeah, we'll see what kind of thing he can do. Albon pulling alongside me at this point, and I wonder if he's going to go for a similar kind of overtake that he went for on lap 1 here, where he just out-drags me on the run up to this sweeping right-hander. I think it's turn 11, but I could be wrong about that. And yeah, he pulls off the move and makes his way into the lead of the Grand Prix. Unfortunately, we've got Norris on our inside this time, so we actually can't do what we did to Albon on the previous lap, and we've got to let this position go for the time being and see if we can close him down later on in the race. We can't lose touch to him, because if he moves out of that DRS range, that is sayonara, Mr. Albon, and yeah, he will not be coming back into range anytime soon. He will definitely outpace me once he breaks out of DRS range, so we've got to keep him in that range, and we have done so up until lap 6, and you can see that I'm only 3/10 behind him at the moment. Not sure if his medium tyres going off a little bit or what's going on, but actually I seem to maybe have a bit of a run on him at this point. We've got the slipstream, we've got the DRS, we're burning all the battery that we need up the run to the chicane here, and we bait him to the inside. He defends to the inside, and we sweep around the outside and say thank you very much, and yeah, we are back into the lead of the Grand Prix on lap 6. And so we have already swapped for the lead 2 or 3 times at this point, depending on what you want to consider a swapping of the lead. And yeah, pretty action-packed Grand Prix between myself and Albon. Looking at Albon now, he is still in P2. This is not me, this is him. You can see the number 23 on the side of his car if you squint. And I think he is maybe going to mount another attack through the DRS zone here. Is he going to move to the inside? He is indeed. But which one of us is going to win out the battle on this occasion? Let's see. I'm going to go around the outside again. He's going to get held up at the chicane a little bit. He has to back out of the move. And that is a allowed Norris into the fight a little bit, and I wonder which one of them is going to win out on this occasion. This is doing me a favour, because the more they battle, the more they're going to fall away from the back of me. So yeah, I'm very keen to see this battling continue. And actually, it looks like as they come into the hairpin, it is going to be Lando Norris who has moved into P2 in the French Grand Prix, and so Albon, for all of his battling, has actually managed to lose a position rather than gain a position, and he's going to have to do everything he can now to try and get back into that second place in the Grand Prix. One thing that might help him to get into second place a little bit here is if he can overcut me. You know, these guys have been incredibly fast. It's looked like they've had the potential to overtake me multiple times during the race. It's time to see and put it to the test whether they have more pace than me at the moment as we come through the slowest pit stop in Formula 1 history. I'm not actually sure if this is true or not. Slowest pit lane, I should say. And we put on the hard compound tyres to the end of the Grand Prix, and we are going to see what the gap is looking like compared to Albon and Norris when we come out of the pits, whether I'm still ahead of them or whether they have overcut me having pitted a lap later. So you can see now as we move on to lap 14, Dragovic is in. We don't have to worry about him too much. He wasn't really in a competitive position. Norris and Albon were comfortably ahead of Albon, but it's going to be close with Lando Norris here actually. We go up the inside, and as he's struggling for tyre grip, still warming up those tyres, we're going to see if we can extend a bit of an advantage on him. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly on the soft medium strategy has managed to expertly find his way up into P4. I think it was actually Sainz who was there before, but Sainz has pitted as well if I'm not mistaken, and he's went from the mediums to the softs. So yeah, I think he might be pitting again in this race if I had to guess. I'm not 100% sure, but we will see whether that proves to be true or not. You can see that on lap 18 it is Leclerc who has now found his way into P5, and that's a pretty good recovery from him given that he qualified outside of the top 10 if I remember correctly. But now I think Norris is going to be piling the pressure on as we come on the run up to the chicane, and yeah, he moves to the inside. Who's going to be ahead at the corner? He backs out of it, he thinks better of it, and yeah, that has caused him to lose a bit of time to me, and I think we should be okay, at least for the remainder of this lap, as he falls back into the clutches of Albon and Gasly. And this is a bit of a train forming up behind me at this point. You know, I'm doing my best Jarno Trulli impression on this occasion, but you know, I qualified here fair and square. They want to overtake me. They're going to have to do it the hard way. That's all I'm going to say. We're looking at Alex Albon here once again. Still running in P3 after being overtaken by Lando Norris 10 laps ago at this point. Norris attacking me up the inside. Who's going to win out? It's actually Norris who has to back out of it. And in doing so, causes Albon to go into the back of him and broke off a bit of his front wing end plate. On the left side, you can see he's missing the front wing end plate completely. And that is going to compromise a lot of performance for Alex Albon. And in the end, with 8 laps to go, he decides it will be worth it to replace the front wing before the end of the Grand Prix, such as the pace that he thought that he would lose over the course of those 8 laps. And so this is Alex Albon possibly out of the points in this Grand Prix now, you would have to say. And yeah, we have made our way onto lap 21, 7 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Alex Albon now out of contention. Gasly has made his way into that P3 position, although he has fallen off the back of myself and Norris a little bit, 2 seconds down on us. And yeah, I think this is just going to be a straight fight between myself and my former championship rival, who has now taken the lead of the Grand Prix on lap 21. And yeah, with a DRS zone coming up, that's actually not the best timing in my opinion to maybe overtake someone, because now I'm going to try and close him straight back down with the DRS. I've got plenty of battery to last me 7 laps, so we're going to see if we can do anything and get straight back ahead of him after he overtook me for the lead of the Grand Prix. We're going to fake him to the inside once again, move back to the outside and sweep around his outside at the chicane. You get the inside for the following corner, and we move back into the lead of the French Grand Prix. Only a few laps to go, but we are going to have to really fight hard if we want to hold on to this position. It's clear to me at this point that Lando Norris has the superior pace to me, but I have held on to the Grand Prix this whole time. The car in focus at the moment is Kevin Magnussen in the AlphaTauri, and that's only one reason why I'd be showing you an AlphaTauri who was running on the fringes of the points, and that is because he is no longer running on the fringes of the points, or running at all for that matter. His car has broken down, and that is the end of his race, and he was the only retirement from this Grand Prix. So yeah, such is the nature of reliability in Formula 1. Last season I had 8 DNFs, and this season we've got an average of 1 car per race DNFing. So yeah, it's interesting to see how far things have come. Had a bit of an attack from Norris there, but we managed to stave him off for the time being. But I don't think that is the last we're going to hear of him. Is he going to go up the inside at this corner like he did before? Not quite, but you can see how much he is piling the pressure on behind me. We'll fast forward a little bit. There are only a couple laps left in this Grand Prix, and therefore not many opportunities left for Lando Norris to try and make a move. Gasly also is piling the pressure on. You know, he's only a few tenths off of Norris. He's held on to those medium compound tyres beautifully, and yeah, it really could be any one of the three of us to win this one. Schumacher again has found his way into P5 after his first ever podium in Formula 1 last time out. Norris with another attack up the inside, but I get the inside to the following corner, and that is going to mean that I hold on to the lead of the Grand Prix once again. But yeah, as I was saying, Schumacher, oh my god, Norris is attacking me around the outside this time. I actually made contact on this occasion. Let me say my piece about Schumacher, man. Yeah, Schumacher, with his first ever podium in Austria, is now running in the top 5 once again, and yeah, having a great little run of form here for the Haas. I think Schwartzman is also running in the top 10 from what I understand. So yeah, Haas overall having a fantastic weekend. Definitely seems like the soft medium was the superior strategy here from what I can see. You know, Gasly, Leclerc, Schumacher all running it from outside of the points to find their way into the points. And meanwhile, I did the medium hard. The only reason I'm still in the lead of the Grand Prix was because I was just so far ahead of these guys at the beginning. But that strategy has worked out a treat for all of these guys. Meanwhile, Norris has also made his way up into P2 after Albon's issues, but he is running out of corners to overtake me at. There aren't really many very conventional overtaking spots left. He's going to have to go for a very unconventional overtake now if he wants to get ahead of me. So I think we are probably going to hold on to the lead of the Grand Prix for these last few laps. I would be very surprised if Lando Norris can make up this position through any of these corners. You know, this is not the typical overtaking spot that you've come to expect from Paul Ricard. And yeah, as we round the final couple of corners, the final corner coming up now, you can see that there is basically no opportunity. We've got 20% battery. That will be enough for us to burn basically to the line, and I think that is going to be just about enough to take the win here in Paul Ricard. And my goodness, that was not an easy race by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a well-deserved victory in my opinion. You know, we did everything we could. We defended beautifully from the cars around us. Albon unfortunate with that damage, but we are happy to take the victory.
You can't fault the performance on the track today. A well-deserved victory. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
The faces on our top 3 look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all.
Well, it is a brilliant performance indeed. You can see how much I was sweating. There were sweat marks on my suit, sweated through several layers of overalls or something like that. But yeah, we take our, what is this, our 4th win of the season now, and we close the gap to Albon quite dramatically. I'm not sure exactly by how much. I don't know if he finished in the points or not. We'll find out in just a second. But yeah, this was a very, very necessary haul of points.
Now let's take a look at the driver's standings. This result then narrows the gap between our championship leader and the rest of the standings. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Natalie Pinkham, come on, who do you pick?
Well, my driver of the day has to be Charles Leclerc. He was unstoppable out on track today, weaving through the competition with ease.
Let's move on to the constructors. The current leaders continue to extend their lead at the top. It was also a strong Grand Prix from Haas F1 this weekend. Fantastic work from the American team to move themselves further up the table. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula 1.
Well, can you quite believe it? Alex Albon was outside of the top 14 cars, indeed. He didn't even show up when I looked at the full race result there because I didn't bother scrolling down. But yeah, that means that it was no points for him. Even if he did get the fastest lap, it still didn't count towards his points tally, which means I have closed the gap from 28 points to 3 points We are now 3 points behind Alex Albon in the championship, and that means that if we outperform him in Hungary in basically any capacity where we're on the podium at least, or in the top 5 I guess, if we outperform him in just about any capacity, we will once again be in the lead of this championship. I say once again, I don't know if we've led this championship yet, to be honest with you. I don't think we have. I think maybe we were right at the beginning, because I think Alex Albon didn't have the greatest run of form in the first few races. But, I mean, even in those, we didn't win any of them either. So I don't actually know whether Alex Albon was leading the championship the whole time. I know he won the first race. I've got the memory of a goldfish when it comes to what the championship used to look like. But either way, we are just a few points away from taking the lead of the championship once again. And yeah, not only that, we have built a 50-point buffer to Max Verstappen in the championship after a string of poor results for him here and in Austria as well. You know, he was only a few points behind me before Austria, if I remember correctly. We were looking like we might even lose P2 in the championship, and all of a sudden, we are poised to take P1 once again. It is an incredible comeback that we've made over these last couple races. It just goes to show how quickly things can change in Formula 1 and the importance of momentum as well. You know, I'm going to be pushing super hard at the Hungaroring to ensure that we can try and overtake Albon in the championship at least. I can't say for certain whether we'll be able to or not. It's never been one of my strongest circuits, you know. It's one that my teammates win much more often than I do. In fact, I've never won there, so it's a circuit that I'll be aiming to win for the first time ever in my Formula 1 career, if I can. And yeah, this is the last time that we will be doing France in a Formula 1 game, potentially. I mean, probably not, because it is going to be an F1 23, they have confirmed, but it obviously is not on the calendar for this year. So, yeah, we'll have to maybe do that in a different season or something like that. You know, if we do season 2 of my team or something like that, we could include the bonus tracks. But we don't need to talk about that just yet. I'm still very, very eagerly anticipating the new game. We do win the rivalry with Max Verstappen as well, and that will mean that we'll be bumping the difficulty up once again in this season. And so far, it's been only W's as far as rivalries have been concerned here. So yeah, very, very strong performance as far as it's been compared to my rivals. But the one person who I haven't managed to get the better of in the first half of the season is my teammate Alex Albon. Contract negotiations are coming up soon, so if I really wanted an easy win for this championship, I could just drop him and sign someone else. But I think all of you would probably call me boring and a borderline cheater if I did that. So yeah, provided he wants to re-sign, we will be aiming to re-sign him for the remainder of the season to give us the best teammate fight possible. But that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.